About again. This time it's the Cleveland Way with my friend Lucien, and it's a heat wave, so you can count the number of times that I say how hot it is. Cleveland Way, 109 miles long. We're going to be doing it in about a week, and it's going to be good. It's really, really pleasant walking, apart from first mention of the sun. It really is very, very warm. If the path carries on like this for the whole trail, I'll be very happy. It's really easy going, really smooth, well signposted, absolutely perfect. The easy, sun-dappled path took us up a sheltered valley to a clear stream that was crossed by stepping stones. Right, hello, we haven't spoken for a while, and that's because I've been a bit distracted. Been through some beautiful wooded valleys, crossed some lovely, pretty streams. Been hot though. Oh, I said it again. With lush fields on either side, we walked on in glorious sunshine to the Sutton Bank Visitor Centre. Well, that was a good stop at the Visitor Centre, and I've filled up with plenty of water for tonight and tomorrow morning as well. And from about an hour's time, we're going to keep an eye out for somewhere to stick the tent. For now, we're just enjoying this amazing vista. It really was a stunning part of the trail. The views to the west were simply amazing, till eventually we found a super spot for camp for the night as the sun set. I'm kind of whispering because it doesn't seem right to shout when it's still 6:20 in the morning. But we're making an early start and nearly finished packing up, ready to hit the trail again. And we're making an early start because it's going to be another hot day today. So the sensible thinking is get going whilst it's still cool, kick off a good few miles before the temperature gets too hot. Tell you what, I can't have a word with those sheep. I swear, they did not stop through the whole night bleating away. So, be on the trail for nearly an hour now, gently easing our way into the day's walking. So it's still quite cool, very still, hardly a breath of wind. And this morning's walk takes us across the moors and down to the town of Osmotherley, which is probably the most Yorkshire sounding village name you could get. Osmotherley. You can't say it without having a Yorkshire accent. Okay, so we've been on the trail for about 2.5 hours now, and look at this trail. You can't miss it, can you? So navigation this morning has been a complete piece of cake, not a problem at all. This village shop is a sight for sore eyes, but we had the most delicious, freshly made quiche, a couple of ice creams, topped up with water. Now we're back on the trail. Right, another milestone on the trail, because this is where we meet the coast to coast, which follows the trail as far as the coast. Osmotherley is a distant, fading memory now, because we've spent an hour or two climbing up out of the village, and so now we are back onto moorland, which feels fantastic. It's not as hot and clammy and sunny as it was a bit this morning. There is also the lure of the Lordstones café and campsite, refreshments, ice creams. We're on a mission. My mission is a double caramel magnum. Last few miles have been really nice walking, pleasant paths, gently downhill, easy, until we came here, and that is the path that leads up through the trees. There's a 500 or 600 foot climb to the top. So the walking poles are out, taking a deep breath. See you at the top. We made it to the top, then across the moorland until the descent into Lordstones, where the cafe was about to close. So I dashed ahead to make sure we didn't miss out on a cup of tea. Here I am at Lordstones. I made it with a bit of a sprint down off the hill, has to be said. But got a cup of tea, everything's good. Had a good look at the map, and we spotted the campsite where we're going to head for tonight. Okay, join us some time later. Down there is where we had our cup of tea and a break and a look at the map and a think and a plan. We come up to Cringlemoor. Sadly, it's kind of a hazy, murky day, although it's blooming hot, let me tell you. but it's sort of that very sort of close, muggy atmosphere, and the views aren't so good. It's quite tantalising, really. So we found ourselves a small, very nice little campsite just half a mile off the trail, and my tent is pitched up. It looks more like Widow Twankey's laundry at the moment, with all the bits of stuff that I've washed and hopefully going to dry out overnight. Isn't it amazing what a difference being clean, fresh after a nice hot shower makes to your general demeanour? Now all that's left is to plan ahead a bit for tomorrow and turn in for the night. It's now 6:40, all packed up, and again the plan is to hit the trail nice and early, get some miles in before it gets too hot. But the sun has just come up over the hill, so the mist has burnt off. We're in for another hot day's walking, I think. So the path that we're walking on now is bathed in bright morning sunshine, and yet up ahead the mist and fog is rolling in, totally obscuring the view, which was glorious not 20 seconds ago. And there, looming ominously out of the mist, the Wainstones. And the good things about Wainstones is there's probably going to be a nice big rock to sit down, take a break and have a breather. Okay, so now at the top of Wainstones, and this has got to be one of the nicest sections of path so far. Firstly because it's level, hurrah, because the rest of this ridge is a bit of a switchback up and down, but the views are starting to open up. This downhill path seems to be going downhill for a very long way, and uppermost in my mind is that for every downhill step I take now, in half an hour's time I'm going to be going uphill again. And now we've got on this really clear, easy track. So although the first couple of hours this morning were quite hard going, with lots of ascent and descent and quite rough, especially over the Wainstones, from now on it's like a motorway. We're cruising. I seem to remember a couple of days ago saying that I was going to ration how many times I used the word hot or anything similar, like sweltering. So I'm going to struggle now, because you can tell by the bright sun behind me, it really is, the temperature is getting pretty high. We finally arrived after a long slog down the road at the village of Kildale, which sounds like good news, but Kildale is notoriously low on facilities for walkers, so we're not expecting much. This is absolute bliss. I want to show you nice cool stream running through woodland. The water's so refreshing. My feet are absolutely loving it after miles and miles on dusty hot roads. Whoa! Made it to this memorial to Captain Cook, but it is stifling hot. There's a little bit of a breeze here which is helping, but the sun is really powerful, and we've just had a monster climb out of Kildale, a lot of which was in sun with no shade. And over in the background, that's the ridge. Basically we've been walking along for the last couple of days. It's bathed in beautiful sunlight and it looks absolutely stunning. Then that remarkable lump there, that's Roseby Topping. So we walk up towards that and then towards Gisborough, where we're going to be staying tonight. I can see the sea! Just clocked up 20 miles so far today, but there's still a mile or two to go. I've got to tell you, the temperature is still really high, really high, baking hot. Well, we made it to Gisborough eventually, and enjoyed a well-earned beer and steak supper. Welcome back. Day 4. Luckily it's a bit cloudy and it's a lot cooler than it was yesterday. I'll tell you that for nothing. We've been thinking carefully about how far we're going to walk today, and we've had a very in-depth analysis of that last night over a pint or two. The next 2 or 3 days are going to be probably on average 17 miles each. I guess the only factor is if we're passing through nice little seaside places with ice cream stalls, coffee shops and slices of cake, then today's walk could take a bit longer than you might think. Next up was the amazing viaduct at Saltburn, and official confirmation that we were over halfway. Wow, what a difference half an hour makes. So we're on the coast now. Whole feel of the place has changed hugely. It's delightful walking, apart from the proximity of the cliff edge, which is just a little bit concentrating my mind at the moment. Good path, nice weather, tummy full of ice cream, and plenty of time to complete today's mileage. Walking south along the cliffs was brilliant until we came to the famous giant charm bracelet sculpture before Skinning Grove. Now, I know that it's famous and full of symbolism, but it looked a bit ugly to me that day. So we hurried on down to the glorious sandy beach, through Skinning Grove and over the cliffs and their scars of old mining works, and a tribute to the modern mine, before descending into Staithes. So we came through Staithes, took the opportunity for a bit of a break, a nice cup of coffee and a cup of tea, and filled up with water. So now we are pitched up somewhere outside Staithes, that's what I'm going to say. We've had to wait, it's now nearly 8 o'clock, so it's really quiet. We left it nice and late, and we'll be gone first thing in the morning as well. The wind is pretty blustery, but we've found ourselves a bit of natural shelter, so hopefully the tents will still be there in the morning. Next thing is to get in the warm and dry and relax. Wow, that was a wild night, and not for the right reasons either. Very, very windy, blustery through the night. So you can see how the copper spur is moving around in the wind, and this is my Lanshan. Gusts, it was a steady 23, gusts up to 35. The good old Lanshan survived and wasn't too bad, wasn't too rattly in the night, so although it's moving around, it seems to be pretty rock solid. The bad news is that the wind is blowing off the cliffs, and we're on a cliff top path, so I think we'll be being very cautious and not getting too close to the cliff edge today. So today, Whitby and beyond. It's a beautiful morning's walking, apart from the strong breeze, which every step is trying to blow us off the cliff, which does concentrate the mind a little bit. And because we're on the trail nice and early, whoa, there we go again, absolutely deserted, got a place to ourselves. In the distance, a wild deer was running through the long grass in the wind. We're at Runswick Bay, lovely charming spot, but something tells me it gets quite busy in high season. Lots of signs saying no parking, and lots and lots and lots of benches. I'm an Englishman, I'm at the beach, therefore it stands to reason I have to go and paddle, don't I? I haven't been for a paddle yet, though we've been walking alongside the beach for quite a long time, so there's nothing else for it, is there? It's got to be done. We are dashing along the beach because the tide is coming in, and there's about a metre left of sand around the headland before we can get to the gully where we turn off. So it looks like we're going to make it by the skin of our teeth. A little bit of sand left to squeeze our way round. Just as well we didn't have the coffee in the cafe after all. We made it okay, then climbed a narrow path beside a stream in a deep ravine. Before crossing a bridge and starting to climb. I lost count of the number of steps as we wound our way up through the woods and eventually emerged to fields of emerald green crops dancing in the wind and brilliant views along the coast, leading us all the way to the historic port of Whitby. So we left Whitby behind now, just to make, you can make out the outline of the old, beyond the skyline there, and we've been following the cliff top path. And when I say cliff top, I really mean cliff top. There are times when the cliffs have eroded so much there's actually the edge of the path that's disappeared off the cliff, so a little bit unnerving. Thoughts about Whitby? I've got a very good lunch, tasty healthy salad lunch, so my insides are thanking me, but it was thronging with visitors and tourists, quite busy, especially down by the river. Fish and chip restaurants are plenty and that kind of thing. So after the sort of solitude and peace and quiet of the clifftop walking, it was a real culture shock. You know, it was didn't feel extremely pleasant, to be absolutely honest with you. And I think we couldn't wait to get back out onto the trail and away from the crowds. And now we're quarter of a mile, half a mile out of town. It's all gone quiet again. A nice, pleasant path with beautiful views. Coming up early evening now, and we found ourselves somewhere to pitch, somewhere that's quite private, sheltered, and not causing any nuisance to anybody. It's been a good day today, most of it very pleasant, and Whitby. Tent's looking good, starting to get cool outside now, nice and pleasantly tired, time to get in, get some food and get some rest ready for tomorrow, and tomorrow will take us past Robin Hood's Bay and on to Scarborough. It's an absolutely fantastic morning's walk, about 7:30 in the morning right now. Nice clear day, cool breeze, good chance to get some miles under our belts as we head towards Robin Hood's Bay. Look at those cliffs, quite impressive, aren't they? Stunning. And ahead of us, the sunlight's just starting to catch the sea, and the sea's glistening. I think this is definitely one of the nicest sections of the trail. And every time we go around a corner, the view changes and more dramatic cliffs come into view. We dropped down the steep streets of Robin Hood's Bay till we reached the sea at the point where the coast-to-coast path ends. Then, surprise, surprise, it was time to climb all the way back up again. This time the path was very dodgy in places, but the reward was a gorgeous view of the small port, and it wasn't long before we came across the cafe at Boggle Hole. After a hearty breakfast, we were back on the trail, and an amazing sight was waiting for us. I've just seen a pod of, is it a pod? What's the name for a family of seals? A group of 10 seals. Delightful. So about an hour ago it was a nice, dry, clear, still morning, and then the rain arrived, and it looks like from the forecast on the radar it's going to stay this way for a couple of hours more. We've still got great views back along the coast to where we've come from this morning. And the other nice bit is that until we reach Scarborough, it's pure cliff top walking, no more villages, towns or anything. And although it isn't the last day of the trail, there's a slightly end of term feel to it. You know, this is the last sort of long section in towards Scarborough. So a big part of me He was just determined to take it easy and enjoy it, you know? And so, after many hours walking on the cliff top path to get here, finally we're approaching the town of Scarborough. It has been a glorious walk along the cliff tops, but it's been one of those situations where we've been able to see Scarborough Castle from a long, long way away. And although we are inching our way towards it, it seems like the castle is not getting any nearer at all. We did eventually arrive in Scarborough and walked along the promenade through the crowds of holidaymakers to our accommodation for the night. Here we are then, final day of the Cleveland Way, and the old port of Scarborough looks quite attractive in the early morning light. Likewise, this part of Scarborough, lovely Georgian terrace architecture, is more attractive. At the end of the trail, I always have this slight bitter-sweet emotion because I'm quite excited about completing the trail, you know, ticking another one off the list, and that sense of satisfaction and everything. But it's tinged with a little bit of, now it's coming to an end. All this great walking stuff is the last bit. So it's a real sort of emotions are flipping between the two. After the gaudy bustle of Scarborough, it felt good to be on the trail again. We passed glorious coves, were buzzed by seagulls, gazed over high cliffs, dodged around recent landslides, climbed up steep paths above crumbling cliffs, stared out across to where we'd come from as the scenery got more and more dramatic at each turn. Only a couple of miles to go now. And look at these cliffs that we just come into view. Apparently this is a huge colony seabird nesting site type place. And we can see all the gulls wheeling around under the cliffs, looking for nesting sites and stuff. That's the limit of my knowledge already reached. But the path basically follows along the top of that ridge all the way to the end. What an excellent way to finish the path. What fantastic scenery for the end of the trail. Out with a bang, not a whimper. So as we get to the last couple of miles on the trail, I'm talking about and thinking about favourite parts of the Cleveland Way. There's lots of good ones to choose from. Our first thoughts turn to the food we've had along the trail. I put a particularly good salad bowl in Whitby that I would happily recommend. But this shouldn't really be all about the food on the trail, should it really? There have been some really nice parts of the path as well. There's no doubt that the coastal scenery here has been fantastic. It's fair to say, if you haven't got much of a head for heights, then the section of coastal walking on the Cleveland Way is going to give you some challenges, especially because there's a lot of erosion going on from time to time. But the payoff for that, the trade-off, is incredible views and a truly beautiful, stunning scenery. Okay, so heading into finally what's in our minds. Number one, finding the best fish and chip shop. But apart from that, just really concentrating on enjoying these last few moments of the trail. Oh, I can see Filey. Right, so here we are. The end is in sight. The famous stone monument that marks the beginning or end of the trail, depending which way you're going. So here we are. I've officially completed Cleveland Way, 109 miles. Here we are. Made it to the end. Yes! Should really hit the rock, shouldn't we? Done it. Right, so that's it. I've officially completed the Cleveland Way. Right, now into Filey to find a fish and chip shop. It's been a great trail. I've really enjoyed it. Hope you have too. If you've enjoyed this video, there's plenty of others a bit like this on the channel.